Good evening and welcome to the August 24th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. As the hour is 5:45 p.m., I'm calling the meeting to order. For the next hour and 15 minutes, the board will be downstairs in the wheelwright room. Hopefully, we'll be going into non-public in just a moment. And then we have 5 interviews. So
Count them.
if we do go into non-public, we will exit non-public down in the wheelwright room and conduct our 5 interviews, and then be back up here in the Novak room at approximately 7 p.m. for our regular business. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to move into non-public under RSA 91A 32L.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Motion is by Selectwoman Belanger, second by Selectwoman Cowan. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand?
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectwoman Gilman?
Aye.
Clerk says aye. Mr. Chair.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. The board will be moving into non-public. Thank you.
For this week's report, state primary election information, mini forest growing strong on Maple Street. The UFO Festival returns to Exeter Labor Day weekend. A message about Pairpoint Park. And a recap of the first Budget Recommendations Committee meeting of 2026. For Exeter TV, I'm Gabe Perez from Townhouse Common, and this is the Exeter Biweekly Report. Let's get started. Good afternoon, Exeter. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and like this video to help spread the word about the show and all things Exeter. You can also head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. For our first segment, Will Tapley has a quick reminder about the upcoming state primary election.
The state primary elections are just around the corner on Tuesday, September 8th. Just like the local town elections, the Talbot Gym within the Seacoast School of Technology at 40 Linden Street will be the polling place. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sample ballots for the Democratic and Republican primaries have been posted on the town website. Voting is made easy in Exeter, with absentee ballots and same-day voter registration. Registering to vote on the day of the election is very convenient, but the town recommends registering at the town office before the elections to avoid long lines. Residents that are looking to request an absentee ballot can find the form on the town website or in the town clerk's office. Absentee ballots must be received no later than 5 p.m. on Election Day, September 8th. Residents can also come into the town office, request an absentee ballot, fill it out, and hand it back at the same time. To see if you qualify for absentee ballot voting, visit the town website or call the town clerk's office for more information. For all of your election info, visit the town website at exeternh.gov/elections.
Last May, we brought you a story about the effort to plant one of the state's first ever mini forests right here in downtown Exeter. We stopped by to see how the project is going. "15 months ago, we paid a visit to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Exeter Church on Elm Street. We had been given an early sneak preview into a long-term landscaping project that had gone underway. In those days, the yard of the church was open green grass, a tree in the middle, and what we got was a real hard look at the moving of large boulders dug up from underground and being placed in an organized row to create sitting benches. The project itself wasn't anything that we were expecting to see any real progress on for a long time. That progress being the creation of a miniature forest, right in the middle of their plot. Now, all of this time after our visit, we came back to see how this forest has come along, and needless to say, the difference is night and day. While still in its infancy, the population density growing through the property is vast and diverse. Much of it remains trial and error. Some plants may not take to the soil and rot, and that's okay. Something new will take its place and help provide itself to this new ecosystem. Deborah Twombly has been one of the major spearheads of this project, as she tells us how things have been since our last visit.
We have about 40 trees here now, ground covers and mid-shrub, so we have all the layers to create a forest over the long term. I'm seeing birds right away and I'm thinking, why is that? Well, the trees have insects, even microscopic insects that we can't see, so you'll see the birds going there right away as soon as we put this stuff in. The insects are really the base of that, and caterpillars and so forth. And sometimes people say, oh, they're eating leaves on the tree, and that's okay. There's enough leaves on the tree to eat them. So they can do that, and then the birds, of course, take those to their nests. We've put up a bird house, and as I say, I've already been seeing a lot more activity in here than there ever has been before.
A major challenge to overcome is the current drought and the town's water restrictions.
We have a watering team, and people are assigned every week of the summer through the end of August, actually through the middle of September. And we're at a level 3, so it is getting better. And we do get these 4-inch downpours, that's where we fill up these rain barrels. We have 6 rain barrels, and that system has worked really well. 6 is about what we need to water this without having to deal with the town restrictions.
Suzanne Ross has also been a major player in keeping the forest thriving.
When we had the opportunity to do some reforesting in downtown Exeter, I was very excited about the concept of bringing back forests to New Hampshire. We're losing 30,000 acres and more of canopy in New Hampshire every year because of so much building. And this is a way, in a very small way, that we can start putting it back, especially in the cities where oxygen, clean water, and flora and fauna are becoming endangered. So we're particularly grateful to Stratham Hill Nursery, Troy Olofsson, and Peter Walsh for their part in making this happen, because it really is a remarkable space. And already when we come to visit, there are more birds, more insects, more people just coming to enjoy nature. And we love it for our children. I see a lot of faculty children coming over to play and have a little nature time, which we know is critical for children.
And that's what it's all for, to build an environment for folks to visit in the shadow of canopy, become in tune with nature, and help heal the planet in environmentally and eco-friendly ways. The church invites any and all to come take a look and to keep up with the progress over the next few years as these youthful shrubs become fully grown trees. The UFO Festival is just around the corner. Here's a quick update on what you can expect from this otherworldly event. Up next is a message from the Pairpoint Park Stakeholders Advisory Committee on the status of the vacant lot on Water Street, soon to be the home of Pairpoint Park.
From the Pairpoint Park Stakeholders Advisory Committee, here's an update on what's happening with the park. The little parcel of land at 23 Water Street that lies between the Chocolatier and Cornicello will be having some action this summer and fall. Thanks to excellent citizen response to our fundraising efforts, there is now enough money to hire a landscape architect and an engineer. They will review details such as the materials to use for pathways, potential plantings, deck specifications, grading, and drainage. In the end, they will produce detailed drawings for contractors to follow during construction of the park. The Select Board approved the committee's recommendation of a landscape architect at a meeting on July 13, 2026. Recall that last year we held a town-wide survey to select from 3 potential ideas for the park, and the Shady Boss concept was the overwhelming favorite. Its snail shell-inspired design envisions an entrance to the park on Water Street, a curved pathway down to an area of tables and chairs shaded by trees, and a deck overlooking the Exeter River at the site of the old dam. Once the landscape architect completes their work fleshing out the details of the Shady Boss concept, which should happen perhaps by the end of 2026, we can use the resulting construction drawings to help secure a large federal grant. If the grant, with its many details, all pans out, it could fund all the construction of the park. To mark these many milestones, we have installed a new banner on the park. It shows what we have accomplished and what steps remain. Our thermometer indicates how much money we have raised. With your support, financial and otherwise, this community will make Pairpoint Park a reality. It will be a place of refuge in a busy downtown, a place to have lunch, read a book, meet a friend, or simply to look out on the river. With your help, it will be a prize of Exeter for generations to come. Thank you in advance for your gracious contributions. Look for further updates as our progress continues.
For our last segment, we have another episode of our Meeting Minutes series with a recap of the Budget Recommendations Committee's kickoff meeting to the fiscal year 27 budget year.
This is your meeting minute for the August 5th, 2026 Budget Recommendations Committee meeting. The Budget Recommendations Committee, or the BRC, held its first meeting of the year to start the budget process. This volunteer committee acts in an advisory capacity to review the budget and warrant articles proposed for the next financial year, which runs from January to December, but is approved by the voters in March at town election. Town Finance Director Corey Stevens gave insight on factors that will affect the budget process for fiscal year 2027.
Debt service, fortunately, will not be a topic of conversation in the general fund in 2027. It's only up slightly over last year. Last year absorbing that large first year public safety complex debt service payments. Union contracts will be in the third year of a 3-year with each of them. That'll represent about $350,000 of increase in budget compared to $500,000 last year. Healthcare costs, right now we have a 16% increase baked into our initial budget, but we just don't know. We are looking at that proactively. It is an area that if it's not going to subside, which I'm not sure it will, we're at least going to look at what the climate is out there and what we should be thinking about in terms of how we can provide the best service and at the lowest cost to taxpayers.
This budget process starts when town departments present their proposed budget to the town manager's office. The town manager reviews these proposals, then forwards them to the select board and the Budget Recommendations Committee. Then, subcommittees are formed within the BRC to go over town department operating expenses, water sewer funds, and the rest of the proposed budget line by line. The subcommittees will then report back to the rest of the BRC, where they provide updates and recommendations for the budget. Select Board Chair Nico Papakonstantis gave his appreciation in advance for the work the BRC will be doing.
The Select Board really relies on the hard work that you're going to be doing, meeting with the different department heads and going through the budget. So we want to, again, welcome you back, but also say thank you in anticipation for all the hard work that you're going to do.
The town welcomes input from the public on the budgeting process. After the BRC finalizes their budget recommendations, they present them to the Select Board for review. This is where the Select Board can make adjustments to the proposed budget before the deliberative session. After that, the budget and all warrant articles are discussed, debated, and potentially amended by voters at the deliberative session. Finally, at the town elections in March, the budget is voted on by town residents. Chair of the BRC, Bob Kelly, gave a statement of confidence in how the board will handle the budget this year.
Our goal is not to set a target for what we want the budget to be. We sort of let each department and division and even every line item sort of speak for itself, and we debate it accordingly. And we hope for the best, but I think this group has shown that they have an eye on the bottom line, and I think we'll do another nice job in the face of mounting pressures from outside forces, which are frustrating, but we have gotten over in the last 2 or 3 years, and we will get over it again.
The next Budget Recommendations Committee meeting will be on September 30th in the Novak Room. See you there.
That does it for this week's report. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help us spread the word. And head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. Be sure to tune in on August 28th for the next edition of the show, where we'll have more information on the recent meeting reimaginings of the future of the train station, a status update on the Front Street roundabout, and much, much more. For Exeter TV, I'm Gabe Perez, and this has been the Exeter Biweekly Report. Have a great weekend, Exeter. I feel like I always do the little hand symbols.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea
Nonpublic
for a
Session,
program,
we conducted
want to host
5 board and committee interviews. We're ready to commence our regular business meeting, so I'd like to say good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, certainly those in attendance tonight, and those watching at home on TV. I'd like to introduce the board. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan, good evening.
Hi, everyone.
To my left, our Clerk, Selectwoman Nancy Belanger, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Julie Gilman, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
And our Town Manager, Mr. Paul Cohen, good evening.
Good evening.
Our Assistant Town Manager, Melissa Roy, good evening.
Good evening,
Our Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel, good evening. And my name is Nico Papakosendis. We have a big agenda this evening, so we're going to step right in. First is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come up with any comment to the board. We do ask, though, if your comments are relative to an agenda item, that you wait that item to come up. So I'll pause to see if there's any public comment. Seeing none, I'm going to do something I never do, and that's I'm going to my phone to read something from our police chief. As September 11th this year will be the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attack, we will be conducting a small service at over by the Public Safety Building. Obviously, it will be the morning of September 11th. The time will be determined and advertised on our town website. It'll take approximately about 10 or 15 minutes, ending with a moment of silence. Town staff and members of the public are invited, and we hope to see folks there, but we will be honoring the 25th anniversary of the tragedy of 9/11. So with that and no public comment, we'll jump into our discussion item. We have the Park and Rec Assistant Director Dave Tovey here this evening with a couple of agenda items. Mr. Tovey, please step up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm joined here with Caroline Neal, our rec coordinator as well, to share some exciting updates we have for all of you. So we'll start with the after-school program, and I'll turn it over to Caroline.
Yes, we're very excited to be launching an after-school program for children in grades K through 5. Going to Lincoln Street School and Main Street School this year at our community center, which will begin on Monday. So we're very excited to be offering that. There's a huge need in our community for childcare. We're very excited to offer opportunities for families and children in the community. And we will be, with that, hiring a full-time after-school program coordinator who will also be supporting youth programs in the department, which will be funded 60% through the after-school program revenue, 30% through the summer adventure camp program revenue, and 10% through youth sports program revenue. So that's 100% through the recreation revolving fund with zero impact on the general fund. So we're very excited about that. And there will also be some part-time youth program staff supporting that program as well. In addition to the after-school program, we will also be offering our Kids Night Out program, which will be a once-a-month nightly program or evening program for kids to kind of come, watch a movie, play games, have fun, and parents can have a night out of their own. And we will also be doing our Schools Out program, so on days where the Exeter Public Schools are not in session, so the first one coming up on September 8th when there's no school for professional development, we will host an all-day program for kids. So folks can register online for that. So we're very excited and hoping that these new employment opportunities will help us grow and continue to offer affordable programs that are in demand for our community.
Terrific. Thank you. Exciting. Long overdue.
Very exciting. It's a little unique with this position, proposing to be paid 100% out of the rec revolving, but as Caroline mentioned, our programs are growing, and this position, she's done a lot of work on this, so I got to give her kudos on that. She's done her research, and it's definitely able to sustain itself through these programs. And we already have, how many, 26 people registered?
26 unique kids with 71 out of 140 spots filled. So there's 140 spots per week available. We have 71 of those filled, so a little over halfway there. So we're very excited about that.
Can I have a question? Do you know how it compares to other after-school program costs?
It's less than some and a little bit more than others. So about the same as market value, I would say. The tough thing with ours is that we do have to pay for transportation, as the school system currently is unable to provide the SAU 16 buses to the community center. So we will be using our department vans, and then when the vans are not available due to other programming, we have to contract a bus to pick up the children. So that is a large expense, which has impacted the cost of the program a bit.
Got it. That's helpful to know. And do you know why they can't provide the busing?
I think currently it's that from what I understand, the route that would go on that bus is already pretty full. And then there's potentially an opportunity in October for us to start using their bus if there's room. So it's kind of we don't know yet.
Got it.
So we're planning on paying for buses. Hopefully we won't have to, and that will become a little bit more sustainable and could potentially impact cost as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Mr. Chartrand, please.
I just want to thank you for both of you for your and your department's work and your creativity to supply something that this town really needs, which is after-school childcare, and to do it in a way that does not impact the general fund. That's great creativity, and I'm very pleased to have you in front of us tonight in presenting this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a few questions.
Please.
Sure.
So I love the idea. $35 a day per child, correct? That's the cost. So after this gets off the ground and you look at numbers, we could try to look at it and get a little bit, see if we can bring that down a little bit in the future. I know this is new, so I really do appreciate, I just think $35 a day per child might be a little tough for some people.
I agree.
Yeah, I know you do. I just want to put it out there that maybe reevaluate it in a year or so. What's the staffing right now? We only need this coordinator to do this?
No, we have the full-time position, so the after-school or the youth program coordinator, after-school program coordinator. They would be doing all the logistics and planning of the activities and communicating with the families, really running the program. And then we would have a youth program lead who's kind of facilitating the activities in the afternoon. And then we would have 1 or 2 support staff, depending on our numbers for the day. We do a 1 to 10 ratio, so depending on how many kids we have each day is how many staff members we have, if that.
It does. So the support staff, those 2 support staff, do we have them right now, or do we have to add that to the budget?
Nope, that's already included.
It's already included?
Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure people know, because I love that you're making it self-sustaining. It's paying for itself. That's really important.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a great idea. We have the ability. It's going to self-sustain, and it's something our community needs. So thank you so much for doing this.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. Selectwoman Gilman?
I don't think I really have anything to add on to what my fellow members have already said. This is really exciting because I remember having to find this kind of care myself. So to have it right there, excuse me, along with the after-school adventure programs that you have, I think it's really exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks again, and I appreciate your flexibility in entertaining looking at decreasing the cost for folks should we find alternate transportation, because I think that's really important.
Absolutely. And of course, like, as we build and grow this program and as our numbers grow and we're able to be more financially sustainable, that's when we will see that budget impact. But we did have to budget and price based on minimum
Understand.
numbers.
Yep.
So once we exceed those, hopefully as it grows, we can become a bit more affordable.
And for anyone in the room or anyone listening at home, our Parks and Rec Department, I'm the select board rep to that advisory board, and this is something they're always looking at, and ways to just keep the costs affordable. So
It's in their mission statement.
it is definitely in the mission statement, and they adhere to it, and I really appreciate that, because that's why it was started in the first place.
That's right.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on.
Moving on to other ways to be more financially sustainable and conscious. We have another hospital grant for you all to approve, hopefully. So this is through the Exeter Hospital grant. We've received this grant the last 2 years in a row, and they're doing it just a little bit differently this year, where instead of doing like year by year, they want to have like a 3-year plan here. So in the application that you all got in your packet, it's $30,000 annually for the next 3 years, so $90,000 total, and that is for senior programming. Out of that $30,000 each year, a portion of it goes to our part-time senior coordinator, so that pays 20% of their salary. Another 20% comes out of the rec revolving, and the remaining comes out of the general fund. Also out of the grant, we pay for things like coach bus trips, which have become very popular, as well as program instructors, and things like the monthly senior luncheons. And any other events or programs that the public would like to see. So it certainly helps us keep costs down for everyone. So I guess we'd entertain a motion for you all to approve or accept the grant, so we could have Mr. Cohen sign it and get that back to them as soon as possible.
So before we do that, are there any questions?
Not only that the August 1st was the start date, but we're okay still, right?
Yes, yeah, they're aware that it had to
Wait.
be approved at this tonight's meeting.
Mr. Chartrain.
So is this grant part of what Beth Israel Leahy agreed to do within the community when they took over Exeter Hospital? Is this kind of part of that agreement?
Yeah, we're one of the organizations that they're helping.
Yeah, so they're living up to their agreement that they made with the state's attorney general.
Right.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
And I appreciate the increased activities that you're doing with this group of folks. And I've actually passed the van and the bus several times on 95, and it's always good to see it full.
Yeah.
So thank you for the extended programming that you're doing. One quick question. The agreement, is that signed by Mr. Bisson or Mr. Cohen?
I believe it's Mr. Cohen. Yeah.
Mr. Cohen?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, then I would entertain a motion to accept the community grant from Exeter Hospital in the amount of $90,000 to cover funding for senior programming through the Exeter Parks and Rec Department for the period of time of August 1st, 2026 through October 30th, 2029, and to further authorize the town manager to sign the corresponding document.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next.
And last but not least, in your packet tonight, you have our application for this year's annual Powder Keg Beer and Chili Festival. I forget, is it the 14th, 15th annual? What we are, we're getting up there. 12th? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but yeah, no major changes this year. Anyone has any questions on the application?
Any questions for Mr. Tovey?
Very successful year
Hope to see you all day.
I got a note last year.
Okay.
More chili.
Yes.
Did you get that note?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Lots of beer, not enough food.
Yep.
So you're going to balance that up.
Yeah, it's
That's
I mean the restaurant industry and the brewery industry. I mean they're feeling the troubles right now. So last year we started implementing a stipend. Before it was all donated chili. So the stipend has definitely helped out, as well as a cash award for first place. So we definitely got more people to participate last year. I think we had a few drop out last second, but we were emailing more today. So we're up to about 5 or 6 right now. So our goal is to get over 10.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're meeting them a little bit with helping them to fund paying for the stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough all around.
It is.
Restaurants aren't, yeah. So thank you for that.
Of course.
And a big part of the success are the volunteers. So I'm going to give a plug that those that like to volunteer for part or all the day to reach out to the Exeter Chamber or the Parks and Rec, but we encourage folks to volunteer. I
Look
volunteered
for
in the
your
past, and
email.
it's fun.
Came out, I think today,
Yeah.
the email reminder.
It's a lot of fun, and I think you get to partake a little bit at the end.
Yep.
So
Take your shirt off and then you have your glass, right? Your
Put another
Parks and
shirt
Rec
on, right.
Well, you have one over it anyway. Yeah, nobody wears them
Fully dressed, please.
by themselves. Oh my God, don't even bring that up, please.
We have an election coming up.
Oh my God. We're not going there. Let's move on.
If there are no other comments or questions or dress code suggestions, I would entertain a motion to approve the special event application for the Powder Keg Beer and Chili Festival to be held on October 3rd, 2026, from a start time of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, go ahead, please.
The 250 Commission is trying to figure out what we can do in association with the Beer and Chili Fest. We're kind of thinking of maybe something that was that they drank way back when. It's called Switchel, and it's something they drank. It's non-alcoholic, so it's something they drank in the fields on hot summer days. So we might we'll have a table with something.
Excellent.
Terrific. Thank you
Thank you.
for mentioning that. We have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you both this
right,
evening.
thank you all.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'd like to invite Steve Cronin, our Public Works Director, and Steve Dalton, Water and Sewer Director. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So tonight we wanted to provide you with an update on Exeter's water supply and more specifically, or water supply capacity rather, and more specifically how it relates to future development and redevelopment. So over the past several years, the town's been evaluating both our surface water and groundwater supplies and identifying improvements needed to increase capacity, reliability, and system redundancy as well. So as those improvements move forward, we also need to consider how additional water demands are evaluated and how we balance new connections with the capacity needed to reliably serve the overall system. So tonight, I'm going to walk you through our current water demand, our available source and treatment capacity, the regulatory and planning criteria that we use to evaluate that capacity, and the improvements that are currently underway. So this discussion tonight really begins with the assessment of our water system that was completed by Underwood Engineers in 2020. So that assessment is actually up on the DPW website. It's under, I believe, water system studies. So and if anyone in the public wants to look at that, it's available. A lot of the information contained in that assessment is available in this presentation tonight. So the work of that assessment looked at both our surface water and groundwater assets and identified the need for additional improvements to address aging infrastructure, improve reliability, and meet future demands. The strategy that developed from that work was intentionally diversified. We really don't want to rely exclusively on surface water or exclusively on groundwater. We have the benefit of having both types of sources, and so the long-term goal is to maintain and improve that diversity so that the system is reliable, resilient, and cost-effective. So we're implementing those improvements in phases. Some are underway today, and then some are currently improved into the capital improvement plan over the next several years. The question before us tonight is, how do we manage that capacity moving forward while those improvements are completed? So before talking about capacity, it's important to understand how much water Exeter currently loses. Our average day demand is approximately 1 million gallons per day, or 1 MGD. During the summer, that increases to 1.17 MGD. For planning purposes, our current maximum day demand is approximately 1.6 million gallons per day. There have been individual days where our production has exceeded that 1.6 million, but the 2020 assessment found that those were higher peaks that are associated with unusual events like system flushing, water main breaks, or tank filling following maintenance. So for the purpose of evaluating available capacity, 1.6 million gallons a day is the maximum day demand that we're using. The other important point is that demand is not consistent. Summer demand's higher, and drought conditions can occur at the same time that customer demand is increasing. So that's why it's not simply comparing annual average day demand to total system capacity. It doesn't give us really a whole complete picture of what's going on in the system. So one distinction that's important for tonight is the difference between source capacity and treatment capacity. So source capacity answers the question, how much raw water can our natural sources sustainably provide? For our surface water, which includes the Exeter River, the Exeter Reservoir, and Skinner Springs, the estimated sustainable source capacity is approximately 1.67 MGD. For our groundwater, our existing 3 wells, Stadium, Gilman, and Larry Lane, have an estimated combined capacity of 1 million gallons per day. The Drinkwater Road, which we're developing now, will add another 576,000 gallons a day of source capacity, bringing the total groundwater capacity up to 1.576 MGD. That additional capacity is important not only because it adds more water, but it provides redundancy and gives our operators greater flexibility in how the wells are operated and maintained. That doesn't necessarily mean that that source capacity is always available for delivery to our customers. So treatment capacity answers the question, how much finished water can our treatment facilities reliably produce? Our current surface water treatment plant has an effective finished water capacity of approximately 1.25 MGD. That's less than the 1.67 of the sources. The limitation is primarily the plant itself. The existing plant operates at 82% efficiency right now because of aging equipment, challenging raw water quality, and the inability to recycle backwash water. The groundwater treatment plant currently combines approximately 1 MGD of finished water capacity. The plant itself has some additional theoretical treatment capacity, but current conditions of the Larry Lane well and then limitations that are associated with filtration and residual handling capacity constrain what we can realistically produce. So when we combine those 2 treatment systems, our effective finished water capacity is approximately 2.25 MGD. The next question to consider is how much reserve capacity should a municipal water system maintain? So there are 2 important standards that are part of this discussion. First, the recommended standards for waterworks provide that for groundwater sources, total developed capacity should be sufficient to meet maximum day demand with the largest producing well out of service. For surface water, the standard focuses on whether the sources are adequate to meet maximum projected demand during severe drought conditions, which include a 1 in 50-year drought or the drought of record. Any NHDES regulations also establish specific groundwater capacity requirements. Those regulations require total developed groundwater capacity to meet max day demand or to meet average day demand with, again, the largest producing well out of service. The distinction is important because Exeter doesn't rely solely on groundwater. We combine both surface water and groundwater. But from an operational compliance and planning perspective, we're required by NHDES rules to calculate capacity with the largest source out of water. So that's particularly relevant because obviously we have the aging surface water treatment plant, we have the reduced capacity at Larry Lane Well. And it's also important to note that our water system is not interconnected with any of our neighbors. So essentially, we're on a water island, for lack of a better term. This slide here really gets us sort of the central issue. With all of our existing sources available, we have approximately 2.25 million gallons per day of finished water capacity. Our max day demand, again, is approximately 1.6 MGD. So with everything operating, we have approximately 650,000 gallons per day of capacity above the current max day demand. However, if we then apply the current regulatory criteria and assume that our largest well, the Larry Lane Well, is unavailable, that capacity drops to 1.75 MGD. Against a max day demand of 1.6 MGD, that leaves only approximately 150 gallons per day of excess capacity in the system. So that 150 gallon number, again, assumes that we're able to meet max day demand with the largest source unavailable. This graphic here provides a graphical representation of the same issue. The important thing to focus on is the relationship between our current demand and the available capacity under different operating conditions. On an average day, we have significant capacity. Even during summer average conditions, we have reasonable capacity. The constraint, again, becomes more apparent when we look at max day demand and then account for the loss of the largest source. That's where the margin becomes relatively small, that 150,000 gallons per day, and why we should be cautious moving forward about permanently committing large amounts of additional demand to future projects before the projects we talk about are implemented. So we also need to recognize that today's metered demand doesn't represent all of the demand that's already been committed. There are developments that have been approved but are either under construction or have not been fully occupied. Based on our current estimates, those projects represent approximately 157,440 gallons per day of additional allocated demand. There's another approximately 12,258 gallons per day associated with projects that are currently before either the zoning board or the planning board. Those are important. Those figures are important because the water associated with an approved project may not necessarily appear in our historical production data. So when we evaluate capacity for another project, we need to account for not only what customers are using today, but also water demand the town has already committed to or approved developments. So based on that, we're going to be recommending to the planning board that any new development or redevelopment requesting a new or increased connection to the town's water system be evaluated on a case-by-case basis based on future available system capacity and supply. That evaluation will allow us to consider the size and nature of the proposed demand, previously committed allocations, the status of ongoing water system improvements, and current supply conditions. So for smaller projects, that could be pretty straightforward review, but larger developments that have significant demand, we're going to need probably a more detailed evaluation on the system for that particular project. So where we don't have sufficient capacity available, we could require an applicant to identify an alternative water source, or other measures necessary to provide the proposed development. So basically, the intent here is to avoid committing water supply faster than we can reliably create additional capacity. So lastly, I just want to emphasize that we are currently actively working towards increasing capacity. The Drinkwater Road is currently under construction and anticipated to be online by the summer of 2027. That'll provide an important additional groundwater source and redundancy that we talked about. We're also planning a replacement for the Larry Lane Well in 2027 also. That's important because the existing well has experienced some declining performance, and it's currently producing below its estimated sustainable yield by about 200 gallons a minute. Surface water treatment plant replacement is currently in design with construction proposed for 2028. This is important because our existing surface water sources can provide more water than the existing plant. However, it's also worth noting that the Exeter River is being considered for the next round of studies for the in-stream flow program, which could also have an impact on our river withdrawals. We're proposing additional groundwater exploration in 2028 to identify another future source. And finally, the CIP also includes the addition of a fourth filter at the groundwater treatment plant in 2031, which again would allow us to better utilize some of those additional groundwater supplies. So not a static situation. We're obviously moving forward with a lot of improvements. They're going to help improve our capacity and system redundancy. In the interim, again, our recommendation is that we manage those new allocations carefully and evaluate any significant new demands individually rather than establishing a single allocation number. So all in all, our objective is really just to preserve our ability to, supply our customers now and in the future, but also continue to make investments in the system so we can support growth down the road.
We appreciate the update and the presentation. Though there's no action before the board this evening, are there any comments or questions for Mr. Grote? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next agenda item is committee formation of a pedestrian accessibility and cycling advisory committee. I believe, Mr. Cohen, you're going to present this?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm bringing an item for the board's consideration this evening. In the brief 3 months that I've been here, I've seen a number of issues of concern regarding bicycle and pedestrian safety. I've seen discussions occur sort of spontaneously at planning board meetings. I've seen some concerns which have come before this board in terms of sidewalk safety. Cass Street comes to mind, and others in terms of pedestrian and bicycle safety. We're seeing the concerns now, as we're underway with the roundabout project. We're just we're sort of hearing concerns about safety to the public, and so what I've drafted is a draft charge of an advisory committee that could assist the community in addressing safety matters to pedestrians, bicyclists, and other users of multimodal transportation within the community. We know, and you've seen these presentations when we've presented most recently to the planning board for the capital improvement program, and we'll see the results of that this coming Thursday when the committee acts upon its recommendations. And these items came from the town's existing master plan, our bicycle and pedestrian master plan, our complete streets design guidelines, and other adopted transportation programs. And again, in simplicity, it's meant to promote walking, bicycling, micromobility, and accessible mobility, and to advise town boards and staff regarding the planning prioritization of those efforts. And as we've discussed, even to encourage potentially demonstration projects, explore grant opportunities, and facilitate community engagement. I think if such a committee were to be created, a 5-member committee would be sufficient with staggered 3-year terms. And it's key that this would be, as the name suggests, an advisory capacity only. My hesitancy, quite frankly, and my frankness, is I see the number of committees that this town has, and I also see the effort and the attendance that this board has at those committees. So I bring the realization and the concern about how much is too much in terms of the ask of the board members, particularly to staff and create and support another committee. Obviously, we have staff resources that support committees. Again, I'm also mindful of the fact that very soon, if all goes according to our plans and capital plan efforts, that next spring we'll be forming a major committee which will involve significant involvement in terms of the master plan update committee. And so I just want to point that out, and in terms of, looking at the broad perspective of what's ahead of us as a community. So with that, I'll end my comments there. And again, I'm not asking for a vote this evening. I'm just, advancing a concept to the board for consideration. And again, be glad to answer any questions or concerns that the board may have. Go ahead.
So I think part of the select board and covering the meetings, it's helped to have a backup. We didn't do that before, and we did start that a few years ago. In your draft, would this include ADA accessibility? Is that what the
Yes.
accessibility is
Yes,
for?
that's
So
what
that's a
accessibility is
plus for me, because that's one of our goals, is to have better access and things. One of my concerns, and it's been this for quite a while, we have a lot of committees, and we're having a lot of missed meetings because of lack of quorum. So if we're going to keep adding committees, I really would like us to look at committees as a whole also, and start enforcing some of our rules on that if meetings are missed or we're not getting a quorum, we have to reevaluate how many committees we're going to have that aren't really performing. Do we start over and say, okay, if you can't make these meetings, let's open it up for new people to come in who could kind of do the commitments? So that's just something, I'm hesitant to add any more committees at this point because we have some problems, but willing to have the conversation.
Thank you for your thoughts. Mr. Chartrand.
Are there people here that might want to speak to this?
There may be, but I'd like to talk internally first.
I'm going to hold my comments until after.
Selectwoman Cowan?
I mean, I feel the same as you, Nancy, and you about how many committees is too many. What are we asking from our constituents? And these are real problems. I mean, the other piece is like the e-bike stuff that is like going to ruin it for for everybody. And so how are we thoughtful about some of this? And, I don't want to just say, oh, well, we have these committees, so therefore we can't have any more committees, because the town iterates and the problems and the challenges iterate. And I think one of the most compelling things about Exeter is that it is an inclusive, welcoming downtown, which we should constantly be leaning into.
Thank you. Selectwoman Gilman?
Yes, I have, my concern about adding a new committee is the staffing of the committee, because it took me 15 years to get a staff member for the HDC, and we just got one for the Heritage Commission. So given that this touches so many different departments, mostly planning, and given that we've just passed the bicycle, or just came out with a bicycle and pedestrian master plan, this complete street guidelines are still in the works. The master plan is about to start again, but maybe where this comes in is into the master planning, and make sure that's happening. And then I don't know the status of the other two, but I don't know, I just want to see some rollout from those two things we've already committed to. I don't know if you can talk about complete streets and the other one, but I don't know. I mean, I understand the excuse me, the need for improvements. Certainly, I've seen troubles, and there are some things I know we can't solve. So maybe I should be on the committee. So I'd like the input, but I want to give our staff some time too.
Yeah, if we could get some insight on how we're going to staff it, not tonight,
Right.
but that is an important, I mean, our town planner does a lot of staffing right now, and this is important. This issue is important. I just want to make sure we're thinking it through.
So before we open it up for any public comment, and I'm going to reserve part of what I say after public comment, but this is incredibly important. This is something that as a select board, it's been our goal for several years, particularly with the ADA accessibility, with the pedestrian and cycling. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of staff time, a lot of taxpayer money to look into how we can make these improvements. So I think that on the surface, having an advisory committee can make sense. So I think we owe it to our community to look into the possibility of creating something. It's incredibly difficult, not only for staff who have to take on additional roles and responsibilities with each committee, for select board members to take on additional time and responsibility, but also, I'm really cognizant of folks that are volunteering and give up their time to show up to be told there's no meeting because there's no quorum. So I think we need to respect not just staff's time, select board's time, but volunteers' time. And I think we've seen folks tend to walk off committees or leave committees because they're frustrated because they are willing to give up their time, but they can't meet because there's no quorum. So I think we need to really be sensitive to that and be very careful how we put something together. And it may be considering this as an option, and then, as Selectwoman Belanger said, looking at what do we have that already exists. Are these committees still necessary, all of them? Are they meeting? And you're right, we do have, it's part of our policy and procedure for committees. Each volunteer is expected to attend a certain percentage of meetings. And we don't enforce that because we're lucky to have the folks that volunteer. So I think we need to look at that. So,
and if I could just add,
yeah, of course.
A lot of the time people can't make the meetings at the last minute, child care, whatever, and it's understandable. It's just we have to do something. If you can't make the meetings, do we really have to look at what we can do? Can we consolidate some committees? Can we? We have to throw some options out there, some ideas.
And hiccups can be expected when you start a new or implement a new committee. I mean, we saw that, and I think having this draft that you put together gives the select board, something on which to build. I look at very proudly at the Sustainability Advisory Committee, and that took a couple of years for them to find their way, for staff to find their way, and they're one of the most successful committees that we have in terms of what they've done for our community. So, I don't think we should get discouraged, but look at committees and especially advisory committees. If they're not meeting, if there's something we can do to maybe consolidate, we need to do that while we look at creating new committees. So, with that, if there's anybody who'd like to speak to this, please feel free to come up to the microphone and introduce yourself to us, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Pam Felber, and I live in Exeter, and I just have a 1-minute little speech. So, good evening to all of you and to all of you. This is a really important issue, and I absolutely understand where you're coming from with too many committees. I'm an educator. 8 years ago, my family and I, though, moved to Exeter because we wanted to live in a town that was an active community with sidewalks, with bike lanes, and with accessibility. That was really important to us. Well, there are so many wonderful things about Exeter. There is still room for improvement. I am a dreaded e-bike rider, but I am a respectful e-bike rider. And there are times where I feel I'm going to be bumped off the road. And so I don't know the answer to that. But it's not just about cyclists and walkers. It's about quality of life. And that's why we came to Exeter, for quality of life in our senior years. It's about a senior navigating a broken sidewalk with a walker, or even me, because I fell. a child walking or riding a bike to school, and about anyone who uses mobility devices or other non-motorized forms of transportation. Everyone needs safe and accessible routes to move independently around Exeter. So establishing this committee hopefully could look at some of those things. And I strongly urge you to support the formation of this committee. And thank you for all that you do for Exeter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Zigmont. I live on Crestview Drive. For full disclosure, I sit on Budget Recommendation and Sustainability Advisory Committee. Tonight, I'm here, however, as a taxpayer and a citizen and a lifelong cyclist. I'm here to speak in support of the Pedestrian Accessibility and Cycling Advisory Group. I'm here because I'm concerned, because I'm a little bit angry, because I'm a little heartbroken, and because I think we can do better at providing a safer infrastructure in our town and as a society. I expect our town to support 100% of the taxpayers and their families, not just the car drivers, with our planning and infrastructure policy. I want to welcome everybody to 2026 and the grim realities of sharing the road. More than 23 vulnerable road users will die in traffic today. Another 23 tomorrow. Luckily for everybody in this room, New Hampshire ranks relatively low in the VRU deaths per 100,000. Mostly because we're lucky, not because of our awesome infrastructure. 20 years ago, the Complete Streets Coalition drove this crazy idea that transportation infrastructure should serve all citizens, not just automobile drivers. 35% of Americans don't drive. And don't forget that the ones that do drive also push baby strollers, go for jogs, ride bicycles. And while Congress never really mustered the courage to pass it into federal law, and our current Secretary of Transportation is dismantling 25 years of multimodal improvements, more than 500 jurisdictions around the country have adopted the Complete Streets policy nationwide, including here in Exeter. My family moved to this charming little town 20 years ago because of the peaceful nature, the great cycling, and the wonderful people. Meanwhile, Exeter has been adding housing at a blistering rate. Did you know every time we add a unit of housing, we add 2.2 cars to the street? Did you know that 31% of us own 3 or more cars? Think of it, when you add 100 homes, you add 220 cars to the street. According to the available data, Exeter has added more than 700 housing units in the last 10 years. That's 1,540 cars. Every morning and every night, all those cars pour into our little 400-year-old village streets. That makes for tough driving. Imagine what that does for pedestrians and cyclists when we don't build inclusive infrastructure. It's deadly. When we add multi-unit housing, it's exponential. Everything all at once. Here's the good news. Good news for the select board members and good news for the entire town. We have an opportunity to make it better. Exeter's adoption of Complete Streets policy is a great start. Now is the time to create a committee to represent the voices concerned with multimodal infrastructure as we work on implementation. So in short, I'm here in full-throated, vigorous support of a cycling and pedestrian committee to advise the select board, the planning board, and the town staff on matters relating to pedestrian, bicycle accessibility, and multimodal transportation improvements within the town of Exeter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
My name is Joe Fisher. I live at 36 River Street. I've lived there for 45 years. When we first came to Exeter, we started to raise a family. I had 2 boys, and they were part of the problem because they were skateboarders. So they were knocking off people every once in a while, but they grew out of that, which was good. It's an amazing town to raise a family, to live and work. I've enjoyed it a lot. When I walked down here and I looked down on Water Street, there was no traffic. And I said, I remember that when I first moved here, they said the streets roll up at 7 o'clock in Exeter. And sure enough, there was no traffic. But that doesn't happen during the day. Sometimes it feels like civility is dead if you try and cross the street in downtown Exeter, because you got to really look, wait, and watch, because you never know what's going to happen. And I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think the committee is a very good idea. And this is the last thing I'm going to say, because I equate accessibility with friendliness, because this town needs to be as friendly as possible, because it's growing in leaps and bounds. I live on a dead-end street, and there's another dead-end street parallel, and the Academy is going to build 3 duplexes and add 4 driveways to Little River Street. It's too much, but it's happening all over town. This is going on, and I just think the traffic, it's hard to get around. But I think that the more we can do for people that want to walk or bike or get around in any way possible on the sidewalks will be a great thing. And I support the committee and the work that you're doing as well. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. Well said.
Thank you. I'm Anna Grazier, and I live on Warren Avenue in Exeter. I appreciate this, the suggestion, and I also appreciate the concerns that you have about staffing a new committee, both administrative, select board members, and volunteer members. I also have been serving on the budget committee for a number of years, and in that context, as well as just out and about, just like the rest of you, I have heard and participated in many passionate conversations and discussions and questions about bicycle safety, pedestrian safety, and accessibility, alternative modes of transportation that are really we have a potential to design a transportation experience that is not purely emphasizing cars to begin with. One thing I've observed is it's kind of an old school town. We have a lot of people who've been here a while. And a lot of people do have the perception that bicycling, and I'm speaking about bicycling because that's what I know, but this is relevant to someone walking on their feet or navigating in some other way too. There is a perception that bicycles are for recreation, and that's true. They're a wonderful form of recreation. But the reasons people ride are not just for recreation. They're for health. They're for economics. Perhaps it's much more affordable than driving a car. And for the environment. And if we could enable people to use this mode of transportation, they actually would. I mean, we don't see people out on bikes because they can't safely ride the streets. The other thing I have observed is that there are just all these loose ends, these loose conversation threads happening in various committees with the passion that I referenced. But they're not tied together. They keep popping up and they feel redundant. It feels like we're having the same discussions over and over again. And I would like our town to take a more constructive approach to that, tie those ends together. I think a committee, a task force, a working meeting, I mean, in the end, it's all a committee, is the right answer. And I do encourage everybody here to go forward with this recognition that a bicycle or our feet are a means of transport to a medical appointment, to their place of education or employment, to get groceries. It's not just recreation. And if we look at it more holistically, I think we can work together to find a way to just create a much better experience in our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sure.
Actually, do you want to just pass the microphone to her?
Yeah, please.
Is it okay if I sit next to you to hold it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Amanda.
Sorry about my cane. Nope, it's perfect.
Hi, I'm Jean Shiner, and I moved to Exeter with my husband about 20 years ago. And what drew us to Exeter was the walkability of the town. It had a town center and the businesses. And the philosophy that I believe in is share the road. We're all out there. May we be using, I have had a guide dog, I'm using a cane, or people using strollers or walkers or e-bikes or scooters. We all somehow need to share the road. And safety is also very important. And I think that an advisory committee would help us work out some of the things that we need to work out. I've been a cyclist. I rode a bicycle built for two with my husband. And I always would breathe a sigh of relief when I'd be going down Linden Street heading away from town, because it's really challenging to ride in a lane of traffic. And I think if we had separate bike lanes, it might get people off the sidewalk, because it's also kind of scary as a blind person, and I think even a sighted person, to all of a sudden have a bike coming up by you on the sidewalk. So maybe being a more bike-friendly town would help to get bicyclists on the streets. Wintertime is also challenging. I've had to walk in the street sometimes when the snow is on the sidewalk, forcing me to walk in the street, and that's dangerous. Also, on High Street, when the light is so plowed in with snow, you can't reach the light button to press the light to cross the street. That's another problem. So I think we do have work to do. I know I'd be willing to spend time on an advisory committee, and I have to watch it that I don't volunteer my life to death. But I think accessibility, I've been blind all my life, so accessibility is important to me. I like to be out in the community just like everybody else, and I think we all love Exeter because of being able to walk, and we just need to make it a safer, friendlier place for all of us and work on it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Fred, do you want it next?
Thank you. My name is Fred Fournier. I live on Aspen Way. I've been here not quite as long as Jean, but I believe we have a pretty large community of blind or visually impaired people here in town. And selfishly, I'm concerned with the winter travel, like Jean just spoke. I still have a little bit of vision, but my depth perception is minimal. And with the white snow, it's hard to negotiate any kind of snowbank. So my main concern is, again, I appreciate everything that the town does, and it's a great town, is that that the streets are the number one priority in a snowstorm, and I get that, and I think everybody does. But after the streets are done, the sidewalks should become the number one priority, and even to the point that after the snowplows come around again to do a little cleanup, those entrances and exits from the sidewalks on the crosswalks get blocked again, and now I have to negotiate another snowbank. So selfishly, my concern is the wintertime. And hold on. And one other point, in town, the parking in town, I'm sure you've all noticed in the wintertime, the snowbank is piled up against the sidewalk for those angle parking spots right in town, causing people to park their car and then having to go out into the street and walk around to find an opening to get onto the sidewalk. I think that those snowbanks need to be cleared out at some point, maybe at night by the town. I'm sure it takes more, pardon me, silly alarm. So I'm sure it takes more money, and that's it comes along with safety, I think, for everybody, not just the blind community. Again, I, as a blind person, I don't drive. I'm one of that 35%. And I try to get out as much as I can walking, and that depends on the weather, and it also depends on the snow cleanup of the sidewalks. So thank you for your time, and I support this advisory committee fully.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just so that the camera can catch it.
Good evening.
Good evening. Adam Roberts. I live with my wife and daughter at Charter Street, just over the tracks. Just wanted to echo what, forgive me, just getting to know you, the fine folks in the front row said about accessibility, ADA accessibility. My daughter, Elia, some of you know her, some of you have seen us in town. She's in a wheelchair. She is 12 years old, going on 18 or 19, I would say. She's going into 7th grade. Even though she has physical challenges and presents differently than other children, she has full cognition. So she's a teenager. She wants to be out and about and doing all the things. And so we are always grateful and feel blessed to live here in this town, and all the kindness and courtesy we are always shown. But having a committee like this that's specifically looking, having volunteers from the community looking at these issues is, to my mind, very important, and would very much support that. I get the concerns that this body would have about bloat and committee bloat and things like that. I've worked in nonprofits for a long time. I get it. But having a group of dedicated folks, and I can assure you that there will be folks on the volunteer end who will show up to form the quorum or whatever those concerns are. But we thoroughly support having a distinct body for that, so that folks like us with kids like us know that these things are being mulled over and talked about, and that they're on someone's mind who has the ability to make these kinds of improvements. So. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Steve Mala. I live at 5 Graybird Farm Circle, Chicago transplant, moved here in 2013. I'm president of the Run Club here in Exeter. We have over 400 Facebook members, and a large contingent live in Exeter. We have about 6 or 7 events. Most of them actually start across the street at the town hall. So if you ever see us at 8 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday, that's us. And so we run every which way in Exeter. So all the potholes, we can tell you, all the roads that need fixing, we're folks that can help you on that advisory side. Again, we really want to have that, we're in support of a committee to just balance all the needs of the town, and to give a healthy lifestyle for our people.
Terrific. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Scott Hatch, and I'm actually not from Exeter, but I come here 3 to 5 days a week.
I think, can I just stop you 1 second? I think we're okay, but I have to ask, any objection? The board? Go ahead, sir.
I am vice president of the Exeter
I understand.
Run Club, so,
You're good. Go.
I come here 3 to 5 days a week since 2012 to run with this group. So I've run thousands of miles on your streets. So like Steve says, we can probably tell you where every pothole is, every problem with the sidewalk, or everything that needs to be taken care of. I'm also a retired police officer. I was with Complete Streets in Georgetown. I wrote grants for passive safety devices for the police department. So I have a lot of education. I approved all road races and bike races in the town. So I have a lot of education regarding bike and pedestrian safety. And I know I probably wouldn't be allowed to be on a committee because your bylaws probably don't allow that because I'm not from Exeter. But I may be, possibly helping as part of the Exeter Run Club and being part of a group to look at safety issues. And I think an advisory committee would be a great start to get things done.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wondering what I'm doing here, right, Nancy?
No, I'm never wondering why you're here.
I live in Exeter. I've been here, I don't know, at least 30 years or so. Just wanted the rec. It's amazing what they've done. I remember I coached years ago. But anyway, I think you've heard everything that's going to be said in regards to this committee. And I agree with Nancy and also with you, Julie. Consolidate. If you have all these people here that are willing to do it, obviously the enthusiasm's here. If the enthusiasm is not in the other committees, maybe start acting a little bit like corporate and do some headcount reduction and restructure. Because seriously, we've been talking about this stuff for so long, and I know it's volunteering, but at the same time, it's spinning wheels, and they need to be linked because everyone's running in silos. You know, the street department doesn't have the funding to do the sidewalks. So, I mean, I think first off, let's just back up and get to basic safety with our sidewalks. Just go down Auburn Street. There's an 18-inch pothole from the kid's side. I mean, it's horrible. The road, the elevations are off. I mean, it's been years. Nothing's been done. Basic maintenance on our streets, on our sidewalks, on our curbs. You squeeze the developers to do it in front of their projects. They come into, from their project to a town-owned road with no sidewalk. I mean, the money's there. The impact fees, the permitting, all the costs, the taxes have gone up. Look at the budget. I mean, I think these also committees need to be linked with somebody from a department that's responsible and that's also working with planning so the information is getting rolled up. So, I mean, that's all I really have. But so I'm in for it, but I mean, let's just get to the sidewalks. That'd be a good start.
Before you go away, I want to thank you. Mr. Fisher had was doing some work on his house, and he paved the portion of sidewalk on Auburn Street in front of his property, and it's beautiful. And so thank you.
The town said they didn't have the money, so I paved it. Seriously, I called and asked, what are we going to do it? They said there's no funding. So we paved it ourselves, but not everybody could afford to do it.
Right.
And now you've got people, parking their cars. It's a cut-through street. It's dangerous. You get to Portsmouth Ave in Auburn, you get there by the hospital, the lighting. I mean, you guys are working on it. I understand that, but let's at least look at the budget do one block at a time. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Who's next?
Hi, everybody. Excuse me. All right, my name's Amanda Kelly. I live at Prospect Street, and I'm strongly in support of this committee. I did a little research, I thought was interesting before coming tonight, and I did find that 23 of the 25 largest municipalities in the state do have a committee similar to this. The only two that do not are Exeter and Salem, and maybe I just didn't find it in my Salem research. So I did think that was interesting. This is something that is widespread and very common. I think that should be a note to us that it's something we're probably missing if everybody else is doing it. I also mostly just want to respond to the timing issue. I do think that this is the time for us. We just adopted the Complete Streets policy. That's freshly adopted. The Bike Ped Master Plan is freshly adopted. The ADA study was completed in 2019. Yes, we might be doing a new update to the master plan, but I think that doesn't precede this committee getting formed. I think this committee can be formed alongside a master plan redo. My understanding also in that other communities do staff their committees differently, and so along the lines of creativity with thinking about how to staff it, perhaps there could be some consideration for the attendance requirements of the select board member or of the town staff members. I think that sometimes committees are having maybe a brainstorm session for 1 or 2 meetings, and they don't necessarily have pointed direct need from those support staff or support select board members. And so maybe there could become a new expectation of a meeting or two where you're pulling together your ideas, and then you invite, hey, select board member, we're really ready for you. We have some stuff to run by you. Can you come for this night? So maybe it's not for the select board, maybe it's for the town staff member. Just trying to think of other creative ways besides necessarily having the cut committees that also, could be relevant if they're not meeting. I don't know. It's not something I'm fully versed in, but I do encourage creativity and thinking about how this committee could be created and not delaying it. I do think that the timing makes perfect sense with everything that we've adopted as a community. And I think that there is evidence in this room tonight, but just even more so just folks you talk to on the street, looking at what people are talking about in the larger community, that this is a huge priority. And I think we were going to see that exponentially underscored in the new master plan as well. So,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else before we bring it to the board? Hi, Ben.
Good evening. Ben Hodston, K Drive. I think we've beaten this to death a little bit out here with all of us, and how much we all kind of support the creation of this committee. But I did just want to add one small thing. I'm a member of an advocacy group in town, Strong Towns Exeter. And we, get generally 8 or 9, 10, sometimes more people that come out and are super passionate about issues like this. But we sometimes find it hard to bring those topics to town and where to target our advocacy, whether it's select board, planning board, any of the other committees, especially with regards to bike and pedestrian safety. And I think that this committee would be an awesome way to just have that be sort of our outlet for that. So I strongly support it, and thank you all for your time.
One quick thought.
Yeah.
Nothing was beaten to death tonight, and all of your thoughts and suggestions are appreciated and will be taken seriously. So nothing was beaten to death, but thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else before we bring it back to the board? Last call. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Mr. Chartrand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, let me start by saying that your attendance tonight and your passion and your words impress me. And I think you're right. It probably is time for this. The concerns expressed by my fellow board members and the town manager are real. Let me give you some specifics. I serve as the select board rep to the Sustainability Advisory Committee. I reserve the regular monthly meeting night in both July and August for those meetings. I declined all other commitments. Neither meeting was held. We did not have a quorum. I understand it's summer, but I think there is room, and I don't think Sustainability Advisory is the place, but I think there is room to prune our committee structure. There are probably some committees that were a good idea at the time, but maybe have outlived their purpose. The demand on the select board is real. The demand on the staff is even more real.
Yeah.
Those folks have their day jobs to do, and then they stay here in the case of an evening meeting, and they don't go home, and they don't get home until like 9 or 10 at night. So this board adds new committees with great care, because we do need a select board rep at most of these meetings, and we do need staff representation at most of these meetings. Nothing's going to get done if you don't have those two elements, along with a group of very committed volunteer citizens. So that structure is proven over time, and it's time-honored. That's how we do it here. So it's not an option to have a meeting without a select board rep and a town staff person. I appreciated your suggestion, Amanda, but that's just not how we do it. So I'm in favor of this, but I'm also in favor of looking at how we can prune back the commitments that we make, especially on behalf of our staff, but also on behalf of the 5 of us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chartrand. Any other members of the board with comments or thoughts?
Yeah, I did. I'm wondering, this is the first run-through on establishing a political action committee, as it says here, it's a PAC. I'd like to work with the town manager, but I also think it's an opportunity because these things involve so many different departments, that we need their input about, who might staff it or how they might staff it. Is it a hybrid? I don't know. Whatever they come up with. So if it can go on a near future department head meeting, I think that would be a good effort to try to winnow this down to a shorter chain of communication, so that the questions and answers are done in a shorter time period than if we spread this all out. And the other thing is that maybe what we need is some lessons in what these things are, some public lessons, like, we did info sessions for the Exeter bike ped thing, and for complete street guidelines, and for, the master plan goes through the whole process, but maybe we need to have a public information meeting on how those things all work together within our structure. Who's informed by what? Are they all looking at the same pieces? So it's not just an informational session for the public, but also for our employees. But that's where the department head meeting comes into play.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I react to something?
Of course.
Gilman just said. We're leaving out one study. There was a great study done for the Water Street downtown. Parking, circulation, pedestrian. So don't leave that study out, because a lot of the perception that Exeter is not safe for multimodal comes from how tangled our downtown Water Street situation is. The angled parking does not work for bicycling, which puts the bicycles on the sidewalks, which creates peril for the pedestrians. So that study, if you haven't read it, it's very digestible. It's the consultant put it together in a very bulleted form. It's got very specific suggestions for how to untangle our downtown and make it safer and more amenable for pedestrians, and how to manage our parking so that we get the maximum utilization and people are parking quickly and not circulating, which creates some of the traffic. So it's a great study. If you haven't read it, it's been out for about almost 2 years now. And we are looking at implementing some of the suggestions in the not too distant future. But I urge you all, you haven't done all your homework if you haven't read that study.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to say how important it is, in my opinion, that a department head is staffing these along with the select board. Some of these committees meet once a month, so they're going to take a meeting and totally brainstorm or whatever, and they could get through 3 hours of this meeting and not know it's not feasible, it's not possible, because they wouldn't know, right? I mean, Mr. Sharples has helped tremendously in many meetings, saying, I understand what you're saying, but this is why we couldn't do what you're suggesting. So it's invaluable having department heads in these meetings. So I just wanted to add that. I love the suggestion, but I have to stay practical and best use of these committees too. So could we think about adding a parking element to this too? So it's all under one.
Well, that's the study Mr. Chartrand brought up.
Yeah, that's what made me think it. Thank you, Dan. So it's not there. I don't know if it's too much. But it is an important element that Mr. Chartrand just brought up, Selectman Chartrand brought up.
I think if I could, Mr.
Of course, yes.
I think what this covers is great, and they can pull the information in that study in.
Without it being part of a mission?
Yeah. I don't think it.
Okay.
Just my opinion.
No, it's fine, as long as.
And remember, this is a draft.
No, I get it, but he doesn't think it needs to be added, and I'm fine, but I just think what he brought up was a really important element. It's a whole picture, so cohesive. Anyway,
Perhaps in the
thank you.
interviews, we can make sure they've all read that particular study before we appoint them to the committee.
Homework.
I have a quick
Should have the power.
thought too, because some of the things that I think hold up committee work in our town is like the prep work hasn't necessarily been done on the front end. And I wonder also if it's like, instead of, diving in and creating a committee that meets once a month for 2 hours, and then it just takes so long to get everybody up to speed, like there would be some utility in having a 6-hour retreat where you bring everybody together. What are all the considerations? How do we start to think about this? What in your work stream, department head, DPW, what in your work stream, planner, what are the concerns? Like, what are we trying to do here? Especially as we're coming into the master plan. But I do think that there is something to be said around, I do coalition work in my day job and like fund that kind of collaboration. And sometimes if you're just dragging it out for too long, then it gets really hard. And then people are like, ugh, we're going to have to talk about the same thing for, the first 30 minutes. And so I do wonder if there is a time of year after the budget where we bring everybody together for literally 6 hours. And it's like, here's a presentation of what is happening here. And that gives the department heads time to like compile all of the things to say, here's how we're thinking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's sort of more immediately available to do that rather than, advertise a public info session for 3 months before we, go ahead. For the interested party, advertise it for interested parties, pick a date, but I like that idea that it's more interactive and with a goal maybe at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. What I don't want to see, because I've been part of these really exciting committee structures where it's like we have a goal and we want to do something right now, and then you're like meeting for 2 years and everybody's
done.
Really frustrated, which is really frustrating. And I also recognize like things are changing. We have to be prepared. You all brought up so many good points. And I think if we could bring everybody together to talk about it, so it's not just staffed by one, department head or whoever. It's like everybody who touches this is in a room talking about it.
Yeah.
And then we sort of go from there to be like, okay, who are the people that need to be part of these conversations? And then it doesn't require so much bandwidth on an ongoing basis, and you're not dragging this out. That is just my thought that I had when I was listening to everybody's enthusiasm, and also the time commitment and like the urgency in which some of these things need to be decided. And then my final thing is, I am not worried about responsible e-bike riders. I am so scared about these kids that I see on the roads, and it is so stressful. So closing with that.
Yeah, I think that's something to explore.
Yeah. Could I just add one more? Because
Sure.
now Molly's going
I'm going to forget everything I was going to say.
No,
but go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. You want to go before me?
No.
'Cause with the agenda, the chair of a committee puts the agenda together. And if they have an agenda and say it's more focused toward planning, then that would be something Mr. Sharples would be at the next meeting. If it's more for DPW, it would, right? So there is a way to do it, but we couldn't have Mr. Sharples and our DPW all at the same meeting at night, right?
No.
But that's see,
I know, but it's like, it's not.
Silos kind of.
Yeah.
But we can't have them all here at night.
No, but you could have them all for a day-long retreat.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody talk about it, and then, who are the important components to this stuff. And then we're not, everybody's starting from the same information, or like what is possible, what's been tried.
No. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
That's okay.
Do you remember?
I'm
done if I try. I like your idea.
Thank you.
I
Sometimes
like this idea. and it's a draft.
Yeah.
So we need to have a select board member at these meetings. We need to have a member of staff at these meetings, because oftentimes staff gets direction from the committee at the end of the meeting. We've discussed this. Then staff goes to the town manager and they work on what the committee has wanted to work on. And I mean, the Sustainability Advisory Committee comes to mind, the Energy Committee comes to mind, just to name two very successful committees that have gotten a lot done, accomplished a lot. It's good to have a select board member there to answer questions on policy, procedure. Can we do this? Can we do that? It's a good resource to have. But at the end of the night, when the Novak room empties and we're still meeting, one of the last things on our agenda is select board committee reports, where we all report back to the other committee members what you've all been doing. So it's valuable because your work and your time is incredibly valuable, and we spread that word to our colleagues and to those that are watching the meetings, and it goes into the minutes. So that's important. We saw in the complete street study that was presented not so long ago that unfortunately with the age of this town, not every area of town is created equal. And some streets are going to be easier to tackle and some are going to be a little bit more difficult. Complete streets might mean something, one part of town it's going to mean something different. Public Works does an extraordinary job given limitations in staff and equipment. The budget has been high the last couple of years. Demands are being made on Public Works. Safety is one of our biggest issues with this board, and we've been talking about ADA accessibility for years. We've talked about public safety for years. After a snowstorm, there are times where it's ugly. Because in New England and in New Hampshire, not all snowstorms are created equal. And there are all kinds of outdoor elements that I never even considered until I talked to this gentleman and his predecessor. So we can always do better. Absolutely, and we can find ways to do better. We can try to find ways to spend our budget dollars better. I think this year, the Budget Recommendations Committee is going to see a slightly different approach in paving. And, we are trying new things. And we appreciate your thoughts, suggestions, and we appreciate your patience. Public Works appreciates your patience because they work really, really hard. So where does that bring us back here? This brings us back to a town manager who in 3 months has listened to folks and has met with folks and talk about spending hours going outside and walking the streets with folks and hearing their ideas. And Mr. Cohen, I'm appreciative that you've put this together for the select board to consider. But now I'm going to ask you and your staff to go back and listen to the suggestions we had, not from just from the public, but from the board. And how can we make this work so that it doesn't turn into another committee that can't meet because they don't have a quorum? Is it thinking outside the box in how we meet? So I'm going to ask that you do that with staff. We can also let this marinate a little bit and come back for a discussion. I'm also going to ask that you work with staff to look at committees and bring recommendations back to the board only if we think it's time to look at consolidating or sunsetting. That has nothing to do with this topic, but it somewhat does. So time is of the essence. I know firsthand that the September 14th agenda is packed, so we are not going to be taking this up on September 14th. But I'm going to leave it up to Mr. Cohen. You and I can discuss whether the last meeting in September or in October, but I do want to set a date. I do want to set it soon, and hopefully you all can come back and we can continue the conversation because it's an important one. And we're appreciative that you all came out tonight.
Yes.
So any last thoughts from the board before we move on?
I want to hear my...
Of course I do.
When this gentleman in the back row was talking about, his frustration at the pace of progress, don't forget that our form of government makes progress incredibly difficult. The good thing about our form of government is that it involves everyone. All the voters get their say, whether they're informed or not. And we only get to do that one time a year. And can you imagine any other $40+ million operation that makes decisions one time a year? I mean, I would be remiss not to say this.
The downtown study, do we leave the gazebo, do we get rid of it? I mean, it's been years, just like the safety thing.
It's all
been
there.
years, everybody did.
It's all there. Read it.
Now they're complaining about the cost because they didn't do it 10 years ago.
Read it.
At some point, we gotta just stop.
There's some really cool pedestrian-oriented suggestions in that study. Please read it.
I know, but I'm wondering, now, why aren't they getting done? Because everything I think everyone's asking you here is, what's in that study that's proposed to be done? Let's pull the trigger. Like, what do we need to do? Instead of getting another committee, maybe let's look at why is it not getting done? and
Funds.
work
We need to find a way to
Look,
fund
taxes
things.
are going up. I'm paying almost 10 grand, not even 1,300 square feet.
Our budget season has just started. Watch the budget meetings, and you'll.
So
see.
we're gonna
We need to look at budget, right?
we're gonna take up the budget on September 28th. So we'd love to see you back
Yeah.
because now we're gonna move on to our next agenda item.
But I
Thank
just,
you.
it was,
Start at your biggest table and you work your way down. It's like every household. It's what it is.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome, Mr. Cohen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your thoughts.
It is
Thank you.
appreciated.
Mr. Fournier, it was nice to see you. You came to an ADA forum that we never recorded. It was the first time, it was what, like a year ago, and you were talking about the sidewalk, so it was good to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to be here, and I appreciate all of your time that you spend volunteering. I know it's a big commitment on your part, so thank you, everyone.
We love our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to see you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Ms. Roy,
Hello.
you're up.
All right. So each year we get requests from local nonprofits for transportation funding assistance. That is funded in a revolving account through a surcharge that we have on our motor vehicle registration. And we fund things like the Rockingham Meals on Wheels, Task, and some of those. One of the other major organizations that we fund is Coast. And previously in the past, Coast had a fixed route here in town. And over the last few years, that changed to on-demand. And now, due to a grant, we have sort of a hybrid of an on-demand where you can call and have them pick you up at your home. In 2026, they requested $37,000, excuse me. Over the last few years, they have incrementally increased what they have requested. However, our transportation fund really can't support the requests that they're putting in. In 2025, we asked Coast how many unique riders were utilizing their system, because we were trying to understand how many Exeter residents, and it was 18 people. That number has changed in 26 to about 59 people, so it is increasing through this grant that they have. But we do expect that grant to close out at the end of September. We're not quite sure yet if that is going to be continuing. So at the end of each of our fiscal years, we have approximately about $3,000 to $5,000 at the end of the year. If we were to fund Coast at what we have been funding them, which was $25,760, and add to it a 4% inflation increase, we would be able to support that with the current funds that we have in the transportation fund. I understand that Coast is looking for more. We do not have the funds to support that right now. We're coming to you because we feel like going forward, we'd like the transportation fund request to come to the select board. That was initially how it was set up, and so we'd like to start that process to come here.
Any questions for Ms. Roy?
Okay, I do.
Selectwoman Gilman, please.
Yeah, thanks for this information. So we're comparing, we're seeing numbers from the January to December 2025, but we only have half a year for June?
Correct.
Do they anticipate getting up to the numbers or surpassing the numbers that they had in 2025?
They haven't given us that information right now. I know that we're currently on a grant that allows you to call to bring, to get the bus to your home, which was something we've never seen here in Exeter before. Since we've been on this on-demand route, it was a certain route, I think it's Route 7 in Exeter, and you had to be within a mile of that route. And so it was very limited in who they could service. So it is fantastic that they've increased service. I just don't know that that's going to be sustained yet. They contract with Portsmouth. They run their, not a council on aging, but senior busing. Some of the other places that have fixed route demands, our route goes from Newmarket to Exeter. It's a little bit different than some of these other locations.
Yeah, I have to say that I was in that year or two when we had the call in if you live within a mile of the bus stop. That there's one on Main Street that I've never seen anybody use ever. Never mind somebody from Water Street standing there waiting for the bus because they called them because they live within a mile. And so I was disappointed and ready to not fund them. Well, they were coming, so not fund them, but just fund them, but not as much as they were asking for. And I'm looking at the numbers, and if it's going to reach what it did in 2025, I still don't want to fully fund what they're asking for because we don't get the service that the other towns do. And that's, part of the problem and part of the solution because you don't know, you have to have the ridership in order to start a route, or do you start a route and see if anybody gets on it? And so that's where they are. But the other thing is that the other transportation groups that we fund, like Task and Meals on Wheels, are, well, at least Task is a call us 2 weeks ahead of time kind of thing. I don't know what Coast time frame is, but I don't know. I'm losing my faith in Coast, I guess. So I don't object to giving them less money.
Well, it's not less money.
Well, they asked for more.
Less than their request.
Yes.
It would be more than last year.
4%.
Go ahead.
I'm fine with the proposal.
Go ahead.
They're not going to cut, then if people can't use it if we don't have it available. So now that there's the 24-hour and that they'll bring them, whether it's sustainable or not, we'll see, but we can look at this every year. And if they can keep that, bringing people to their home or picking them up there, that's huge. So.
Thank you. So you're looking for a motion to fund the program with the 4% increase for FY26?
Yes, the 26,790.
Are there any other comments from the board? Okay. Then seeing none, I would entertain a motion to fund the Coast program at the previous award of $25,760 plus a 4% inflation increase for a total of $26,790 for FY26.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, one more. We have a Pairpoint Park donation acceptance this evening. It's very straightforward. Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to accept the donations received during the month of July 2026 totaling $500 for the design and construction of Pairpoint Park, and direct that the funds be held by the trustees of trust funds in the Pairpoint Park Fund. Disbursement of the funds shall be made by authorization of the town manager for the purpose of designing and/or constructing Pairpoint Park.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. In our packet, we have our regular meeting minutes from August 10th. Are there any revisions or amendments? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of August 10th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Cohen, did you want to introduce the next
Yes, yeah, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, as you know, we're coming right up upon our primary election and state election. In accordance with the Secretary of State's New Hampshire Election Procedures Manual, the responsibility of the Select Board pertaining to preparation for the election deals with the Inspector of Elections, or more commonly known as ballot clerks. As the board knows, with the new town clerk and the discussions with our town moderator, we are seeking to comply fully with the provisions of the duties of Select Board, and that pertains to the inspectors of elections. And as described in the manual that I gave you the excerpt, we have 4 delegates appointed by the 2 parties, but however, additional inspectors are needed. And the town clerk, in consultation with our town moderator, has provided you with the list of inspectors in your packet for consideration this evening. So the request is to appoint the slate as presented.
Before I ask any questions, there are 2 typos. Gwen English, the H is missing from her name.
Oh, okay.
And we believe that Rachel's last name might be Owens instead of Owens, but I don't know.
Okay, that's typo. Yeah, thank you.
And it's my understanding, Mr. Cohen, that we can approve the slate as presented without having to go through all of the names?
Yes, that's correct.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to appoint the slate of registered voters to serve as inspectors of elections through July 31, 2028, as presented in our packet.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
We have an intent to cut wood or timber. It's straightforward in our packet. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the notice to cut wood or timber on tax map 47, lot 8-1.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then, Mr. Cohen, I would invite you to give your town manager's report.
Yes, briefly, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in your packet, you have a copy of a memo from Finance Director Corey Stevens regarding the status of the town's general fund, water and sewer enterprise funds through July 31st, which is the 7th month of our calendar and fiscal year. And as was indicated when Corey was here last month, the news continues to be good. The budget is in line. Through 7 months, you should be around 58% of your revenues and expenditures. You continued, as Corey noted last month, we're continuing to see that strength in our building permits and fees and in our interest incomes. So that seems to be working fine. I think the only area of concern of expenditure in the general fund is our welfare caseload and expenditures are running above normal. But again, that's a budget of less than $200,000 on a budgetary level, but it is running ahead of prior year and budget. And then again, going to the water and sewer revenue funds, they're running fine. They're 57% of revenue collected, again, right in line with the 58% target mark. And as you can see in the operating expenses, everything is in the 58, low 60 or so percentage for what would be routine expenses in the year. And similar with the sewer fund revenue, 50% collected and expenditures running without concern. So again, our intent is to continue to provide you with monthly updates as we move through the remainder of the fiscal year. Regarding the Pine Linden Front Street roundabout project, our Public Works Director, Steve Cronin, has been monitoring this project extensively. The work is scheduled to complete the end of this week. There's a bit of a hiccup with the color of the cement for the roundabout. The color that was prescribed in the bid specifications was not shipped to the town, so that's creating a bit of a delay in terms of the pouring and curing of the cement. And how that is expected to be resolved is the roadway will open with the start of school and the upcoming election. there may be a period where we may restrict heavy truck traffic. That would be the one that would utilize that area, till that road can cure for a week or two. So, but the good news is the weather's cooperated, the work is proceeding, and again, we expect no issues regarding school opening or school buses, or with the election traffic, for next week's election. So that's where things stand with our roundabout project. And then lastly, under my report, community rating system. Staff, basically, on a request originated by our conservation sustainability agent, Kristen Murphy, met last week, and we're with the state administrator of this program. And basically, what this is, and I just provide you with a brief excerpt in the packet, is this is a volunteer program which only can provide benefit for those, for residents. So by participating in the FEMA National Flood Insurance Community Rating System program, by taking some town voluntary efforts, we anticipate that people who are subject to flood insurance requirements could save significantly on their premium. So we as a staff are going to be working on this in the months ahead, and we'll be coming to you for formal action sooner than that in order to, again, provide a benefit to the community. This was looked at before a few years ago, but it never made it to the implementation stage. So what we're doing is we're picking up the ball, and we're going to deliver this. And what it involves, particularly in a community like Exeter that's not a coastal community, but yet we are impacted by the climate change and the issues. It's those volunteer efforts of a building code and other preventive measures, some of which you saw with the Swayze Park study, which is how can we take preventive measures in order to safeguard from property loss or obviously more importantly human loss. And so most of the communities that are in the program are in the southwestern corner of the state. There are efforts in our neighboring communities such as Hampton and Rye and others to get engaged into the program. Some of those challenges are more for the immediate coastal communities are more challenging because you've got wave height issues and those type of things. But we are looking at how can Exeter benefit from this, and we expect to bring this again, which can only provide benefit for those who are dealing with the costs and challenges of national flood insurance, and as many of you may be aware, that's been a challenging program in recent years. So again, this is something that we're initiating in order to provide relief within the community. Okay. So that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the town manager? Okay. Select Board Committee reports. We could start with Selectwoman Gilman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since I missed the last meeting, I've had a couple of extra meetings to report on, but keep it short. The 250 committee has, contracted with the Gundalow Company, and we're bringing the Gundalow to Exeter in October. I believe it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay.
And the time is depending on the tides. But it will be here for those 3 days, and part of the reason that we're doing it at that time is because the schools have an in-service day, or they're not in service. But we'll be able to have the Main Street School and Lincoln Street School kids come down for the tour of the, of the thing. But it's open to families, and we're hoping that we could get people to use a kayak and either welcome the Gundalow in or see it off, as a flotilla. The Parks and Rec kayaks will be there, and they will be free, but you'll have to sign up for them. And let's see.
Julie, what was the date? The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of October?
Let's see, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Because we have the Chili Fest in downtown on the 3rd. Just whatever. I just wanted to.
Well, might be a bonus for both of them. So.
Okay, good.
There you go. Let's see what else. I think that was that. Heritage Commission had a couple of demolition reviews. One was a garage on Marlborough Street that really had no historic value to the town. It was just it was old, but not a date that went with the house or with the property. So our recommendation was that it was okay to go ahead. And then there was another one that I missed. Let's see. Oh, I missed the last Heritage Commission because I was at veto day. And I think the most important thing that came out of that was we overrode the governor's veto on the 10-year transportation plan. So that is law now, which will help us out. And I think that's it. That's
Great.
all I've got to say.
Thank you. Selectwoman Belanger.
So on August 13th, we had the planning board meeting, and it was solely on the capital improvement plan, the first public hearing. And then the second public hearing will be this Thursday from 6:30 to 7. And then regular business will start at 7. Housing Advisory Committee was on the 14th, August 14th, and we're looking at zoning ordinances and possibly changing some language. There was August 20th, the neighborhood dam removal, for Pickpocket Dam. I left a bit early, but heard the presentation and not all of the public comment, but I have been meaning to go back to listen to that. And I had no Parks and Rec because of no quorum.
Okay. Thank you. Selectwoman Cowan.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Selectman Chartrand.
I did attend a Conservation Commission meeting on August 11th, a Tuesday, 7 p.m. in the evening. The main highlight of that was that they took up a approval on something that had been inadvertently done out on Wadley. So the members of the commission were quite chagrined and were reluctant to issue their approval and thereby set a precedent, but at the same time, it had been inadvertent and there had been some problems with the placement of conservation easement discs. So in the end, they approved it with the applicant agreeing and their contractor agreeing to undo some of the things that they had done. So that was the highlight of that meeting. I also attended a train station committee meeting last Thursday, the 20th of August, at 11 a.m. in the morning. And we mainly did a wrap-up on the train station charrette that had happened. And then I also attended the meeting last Thursday evening. I walked in 5 minutes before you left, so we had complete select board coverage. And I heard some comments from folks in Brentwood who are very interested in
a lot of folks in Brentwood
removal of the dam, and they had plenty of time to have all their say and all their questions asked.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. I only had the Swayze Park trustee meeting on the 19th. It was a quick meeting, but they did approve to spend money to fix the part of the chain link fence that is unsafe, so they'll be moving forward on that. Tree committee was canceled due to lack of quorum, as was River Advisory Committee. So with that, we'll move to correspondence. There's an email that was written to the board about speed limit review. This was forwarded to Chief McCain. Chief McCain did go out there and I believe spoke with the person who wrote the email.
And they're conducting a great speed study out there.
We have a correspondence from Nancy Rockwell, which you see my response. And Mr. Cohen, I'm going to apologize because the last part of my packet, the ink must have run out in your office. So I'm going to have you pinch hit for me because I can't read it.
Yeah, it happened on a few things, yeah.
Well, the 7 to save, that's the letter for the 7 to save, the letter of support to the state that you voted at your last meeting.
Because this is what I have.
Yeah.
All right. That's correspondence. Board calendar. Our September meetings are, I'm going to wait for them to get their calendars up.
Thank you. Okay.
Am I good? Okay. September 14th, September 28th, October 13th, which is a Tuesday, October 26th, November 9, November 23rd, December 7, and December 21st. Also remind the board, the election is on September 8th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Selectwoman Belanger, I know you got the moderator, some times that you'll be absent and the times that we'll be filling in.
Needed coverage for.
Yeah. Selectwoman Gilman, you're on the ballot,
Yes, I am.
so you'll need to find some coverage.
I completely forgot. I've been thinking about voting here, not there. I will get coverage, yes.
Okay, if you could get that to Kate, that'd be appreciated. And obviously, anybody else that needs to find coverage. I don't believe we have another non-public session this evening, so unless there's, go ahead.
I just have one question.
Please.
You mentioned a 9/11 event.
Yes.
Did you have a time that I
No.
might have missed? We don't have one.
We don't have one. That will be advertised.
I think it'll be early morning. I'm thinking somewhere around 9 o'clock, plus or minus. So there'll be that Friday morning.
We have a housing advisory committee
time?
meeting at 8:30. It's not
Okay.
about me.
Okay.
I will leave to go to.
We're just trying to coordinate.
At least I'll still be
We're
in
just trying to nail
town,
down, some of the final logistics, but it'd be, I would think somewhere between no earlier than 8:30,
Yeah, no,
Definitely a
it's
morning
not,
thing.
I'm not looking for anyone, but I just wanted to try to make
Okay.
that. I think it's really important.
Chief McCain was still working out with Chief Pizon, but I know it's going to be a quick 10 or 15 minute
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, you may see something on the 250 Commission's website about a day of service.
Okay.
9/11.
great.
We haven't worked out exactly what that means.
Okay.
But we have a meeting tomorrow, so.
All right, terrific. And then I think later that day, Mr. Cohen and I are going to Concord.
Oh, that's right, that afternoon.
Is that the first meeting?
That's the NHMA Legislative Conference. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, find out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you for representing us.
Thank you for representing us.
Anytime.
Exciting.
Any other matters before the board? I would entertain a motion then to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.